Try and do it with your mouth. The theme song, the old school.
The adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Take Doom off the backlog. It is beaten. Really, up-to-date current news here on New Dad Gaming. Beating a game that is, what is it, like 3 years old now?
Yeah, it's about that. It's coming up on like some sort of anniversary, I'm sure.
Yeah, the anniversary edition is going to come out now that I've beat it. But did you find it long? It overstayed its welcome for me, which I think is just probably because of my backlog. I have other things to do. It just felt like it could have been 3 less levels, and I would have been real happy.
Yeah, well, so I never actually beat the game because I couldn't install it at the time because I didn't have an external hard drive with the 100 plus gigs it takes up or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
So,
okay.
It did not go in the system. So you are the lone wolf on this one. You'll let me know if I should complete this or not.
I don't know.
You're not selling it, Trevor. You're not selling it.
I didn't get getting as far as I did. Let's say I stopped at like the last 3 and not finished the last 3 levels.
Yeah.
I don't know that the experience really exploded for me in any way in the last 3 that really, I don't want to say warranted the time. That's like the wrong way to say it, because I know plenty of people who beat it and enjoyed it. But just for me, it was like, I did this. There's this one boss, and I'm like, all right, this is it. This is the guy. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to finish. Except I didn't. I got transported somewhere. There's a bunch more exposition, and then I got dropped in this massive level. I'm like, there's more? Like, I gotta keep going.
Gonna say like, that's not even my final form, and he transforms into something else, and now you're on Mars again, and I don't know.
That would have been fine. But like I said, that just comes from a very jaded dad perspective, especially with on such a backlog. So,
right,
but so happy to beat it. But then the reason I brought that up more than just the ongoing saga of my backlog is I don't know how the universe decided to deliver it to me now, but I just saw the next version of Doom. So Doom Eternal, I believe it's called.
Right, yep.
And it looks so amazing. Like I had a smile on my face the entire time watching that demo. Like the actual playable sections that they had at QuakeCon or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, especially the fast-paced twitchiness of it too, where they're like, "And now we're gonna dial it up." It's like double the speed.
I was like,
what?
It's like what it felt like is just they got so comfortable in the world. They got comfortable with their moveset where it's like, yeah, like we know what this guy does now, and they, being masters of it, they just took it to another level. Like it's so wild, and I think So firstly, I'm not going to buy it.
Well, it was quick.
Someday in future, if I for some reason don't have anything else, maybe, because it looks amazing.
Yeah.
If you love Doom, get it. It's Doom times 2. It looks so cool. But that's what really struck me. As I said, as I watched this playthrough, just a huge smile on my face. It was so joyous, and joyous in the sense that if you remember when you were a kid and you played Doom, the original one, or Duke Nukem, or any of those games, and like the fun of it, the arcadey action part of it, that visceral happiness that you got playing it, that's what that trailer felt like to me. Did you have any similar experience? Am I way off?
No, I think you're right on the money. Especially when I think Doom was the original game way back when it was more of a proof of technology and proof of first-person shooter, right? And now Bethesda kind of went through that same kind of feel where they're like, we're touching a major franchise and we're going to release a game that, has all these different elements to it. So they were good about it. They made a complete game like you've experienced. But now with Doom Eternal, it looks like, okay, we know what we're doing. We know how to tap into that old childhood nostalgia of those other games, and we'll just go wild. And if you've ever seen the footage, it is a wild game. Like the whole environments are torn apart, things are moving everywhere, everything's trying to kill you at once.
It's
and they
faster.
just introduce it's way faster, new tools to like go around. I think he had some sort of like zip line out of a shotgun, which is amazing. That's exactly what that franchise needs.
Just pause. I want you to keep going, but just think. Let's think about that sentence for a second. A grappling hook attached to a shotgun.
Oh no, I lost you.
Oh,
he's gone. Can I screenshot this part? Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, you're back.
Okay. I think we're good. You okay?
Okay.
See, I'm connected to Ethernet. God damn. It's
you
funny.
just froze and I didn't hear anything. It's
Yeah,
weird.
that's perfect. As long as we both keep recording until it gets back up, I can easily cut it. So like, what's funny is like the internet on the coast, the Caribbean coast, is actually better somehow. I think it's because it's less people.
Oh.
Anyway, whatever. Okay, so I'll take it from the I'll interrupt you with that sentence. What did you say? Did you say chain, grappling chain attached to a shotgun?
Zip line. A zip line attached to a shotgun, but
Okay.
it's a chain.
Okay, I'll say zip line.
Okay.
So let me stop you there. I want us to appreciate that sentence that just came out of your mouth. The zip line attached to a shotgun. Like that's what this game's bringing to the table.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah.
But it's like us dads now are at the heads of these studios. And I think it's us dads now are also purchasing a lot of these games. It honestly feels like there's just this momentum now behind fun, interesting games, like a maturation of the gaming space where they're not trying too hard. Like they're comfortable in their space. They know their audience. They know that we exist and we're ready to purchase games. And you're seeing like Horizon Zero Dawn, Dad of War, also known as God of War, Doom.
Yeah.
Like, does it not just feel like that? Those are all built from people who grew up playing original Tomb Raider, Doom, Duke Nukem, and now they get to build games with studios.
Yeah, I think it's getting back to capturing that fun, right? Like they're meant to be played for fun, and there could be a great story that goes along with it, but anything that goes too much into the game mechanics and it's a chore to play and the length of it is something that you have to plan for. Like let's bring it back to what the games used to be, and a lot of these people are all grown up and they're in their own studios developing their own games and directing their own games, and now that's what we're seeing. So that's the cool part. So again, like you mentioned, like the Dad of War, God of War thing, that was by someone that has grown up with games and remembers what they used to be, and let's introduce this new thing and get people back to playing what games used to be about. So I'm all for it. I mean, this is something that this is kind of like the fine tuning of what's been going on for a number of years. So it's good.
What's interesting, I mean, especially with Dad of War, I mean, what's interesting about it is not only is it such an excellent entry into a fun, interesting game. Mechanics are just fantastic. Like everything about it is phenomenal. Fun game. But they're not shying away from a good, mature story. And it's not mature as in like, haha, we're going to kill 1,000 people. We're mature. It's a thoughtful story. Like it's thought provoking. There's character development. And it's, if you think about the old God of War games, which were fantastic, but it's kind of like those are the teenagers. You know, that's when dads were teenagers coming up, and now that we're all mature adults here with babies and we're still trying to play games.
Yeah,
it seems like it's come along with us.
Yeah, like again, that old series used to be, it would touch on mythology, and you just have a mythology-based boss, and you just hack and slash away. Now in the newest one, they have a narrator. Like there's a head on the side of your belt that narrates the whole mythology around the universe, and it's kind of, again, it's thought-provoking. It's something you can get into, something you can understand and follow. It's cool. It's a neat elevation of the gaming industry.
Yeah. I'll be able to speak to that once, now that I'm done Doom.
Once you complete it, next.
I'm one step closer, though. So I had every honest intention of playing that one next, I swear. But instead, at one point, like I was up late with kids or something or other, whatever it was. And I remember I wanted to come down.
Right.
So I decided to turn to what I found to be the most relaxing game I'd ever played in No Man's Sky.
Of course you did.
So
There you go.
Let me just kind of ease into some No Man's Sky for a second.
Right.
And now that's my game. So that's going to be the next in the queue because I got back into it and it's like, let's get to this core. Let's get it done. And I've been enjoying it so thoroughly. I'll say this though. I swear I wish so badly that creative mode. So in this game, normal mode, it's just your basic, you're going to survive a bit, you're crafting, you have fuel and you can die, blah, blah. Creative mode is you have access to you never have to resource farm anything. You can build anything, you can trade anything, you can buy anything. So the glee I had in going into creative mode was just like, I could just buy any ship I see and I don't have to I can just land wherever I want. That one in particular, just because like in normal mode, you have limited fuel for launching and landing.
I hated that. That's so much.
That's really grinding on me because it's just like, come on, this is space exploration, and I gotta. At the beginning, you can only do it 4 times. You get 4 jumps.
I know. Yeah. I know.
It's like, what do you want from me?
Shortly after that.
So creative mode is like, oh my god, I could just like up and down like that. I can actually just explore. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But you can't play the story. It's just like, that's not the purpose of this backlog is to beat the games.
Yep.
And that's not. All right, back to normal mode and just off.
Good luck exploring the universe and trying to complete a whole universe type game.
It's so wonderful. Like I'm having such an amazing time with it. Like, and what's good too is there's a certain, if you can push past it, there is rewarding parts of it with the launching, for instance. You can actually install a technology that makes it a lot more efficient. So as opposed to like 4 launches, you get like 12 and eventually get like 20. You know what I mean? So like life, eventually you can have a fleet of frigates. You can just send them out on missions and they come back with money and resources.
There you go. That's what I'm into there. That's perfect.
Yeah. So eventually everything starts to come together, but it's still just that.
Yeah.
You're starting as a wee little worm and you're struggling so hard to get up into it. But man, I'm back on No Man's Sky. Like I just what it reminded me of actually was with Fallout 4 specifically, where
is that in the backlog? Was that mentioned? I'm not sure.
It's in there. It's in there. If you remember, like in my game, I had enabled a cheat where it's just you can carry infinite.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Oh yeah, really. I still stand by that. I sleep like a baby at night, knowing I cheated with that one. Because I just don't have time to care about how much stuff and like, I'm going to drop this. Just infinite carry.
Right.
All day. I actually heard that No Man's Sky has some cheats for PC, which half made me think like, like
you're just going to rebuy it to complete it on PC? That's amazing.
Actually, I already own it on PC.
Okay, never mind.
I already did the second buy.
Maybe there's a cheat, make creative mode, normal mode, and then you just beat it. You're good.
Yeah, just do normal mode, a whole slew of cheats, and then just get to the core. Nah, I'm in the original PS4 where I originally bought it. We'll get to that core. We'll get that beat. We'll see what happens. But besides my sad backlog stories,
well,
yourself, what are you into these days? Hopefully something more current.
I'd say a little bit more current.
Not too hard because my games are like 4 years old. But
we're almost It's in present day. It's in VR, so it's more modern. With Ultra Wings, so
nice.
You sung high praises of that one,
highest praise,
and decided to dive in. And it is the only game I've ever owned for VR where it is disorienting. I got some weird VR motion sickness from it. And for those that don't know, Ultra Wings is a flying game where you take up little planes and you work your way up to faster planes. They go a little bit more around the world, and there's a little bit more of a tilting and turning and almost barrel rolling through. And it's just something that I couldn't get it was a weird feeling, and it initially starts you with the blinders on, which I was like, well, I'm gonna take those off. I'm played enough games in my blinders. Day. Yeah. Let's start out in expert difficulty. Let's do this. So yeah, no, got up there and I was like, whoa, my stomach was just turning a little bit. I was like, this is not gonna work, and I had to put those babies back on. Was nuts.
That's wild, because this is to set the stage. Like, you are.
It's slow.
You would fly through Wipeout. Like, as I remember, you didn't have an issue with Wipeout, which is the marquee example of a very stomach turning game. Yet Wings gave you a bit of an issue.
I can go 300 kilometers per hour, but if I get up to 15 at the little biplane here, then like a little mosquito on this little world. Yeah, no, I don't know what it was. It was just something that was that caught me off guard, and I'm working my way back up, but with the blinders on, and trying to, because it's a neat little game. The graphics are different, like they're stylized, but to experience kind of going around the world in this little plane and landing and going through hoops and shooting things, and it's just a fun thing to have in VR that you can look over your plane. You're like, whoa, that's an ocean.
Yeah, the landing is really, it's surprising how interesting landing is when you feel like you're in the cockpit and you're flying on down towards that runway. Like, it is really quick, like that. And when you bank like really harshly, you get that kind of stomach turn.
Yeah, it's the banking that did it more often than the landing did. But I could totally see a flight stick in this thing, and I think it has that support to have a flight stick. If I ever had one, which I never owned one, maybe way back in PC days, but that would be a neat thing, because your whole body is kind of positioned to do that, right? So to lift off and land, that would be so much much easier to do.
But I like how they did the controls with the motion sticks, though, because at the very least, then you kind of get the feeling of pulling back on the rudders and everything like that. That is a really smart implementation.
Yeah, even flicking the engine on at the start, where you're like, got to get my gas on, got to start the engine, and then you're playing with the pedals and stuff. And you're like, yeah, this can work, and it's just a neat way to get into VR if you have the stomach for it. So,
well, they got, like I said, what's good about it is these devs seem to have a real keen sense of that. They have to be gentle with their users, right? Like the option for blinders, for instance. Like if it just like, screw you, Buttercup, like we got to get going, like
don't buy this game.
Yeah, up into the air with you.
No, it was good. And then the demo for Astrobot released, and I had the kids try that on.
Get out. Did your kids play the original Astrobot or Robot Rescue on the demo disc?
Yes, they love that one, and I especially love the co-op of it, where they could play on screen and I could be in the VR, and then we kind of switch off, and I give them a few minutes in there. I didn't want them in there too long, but that was something that I was really looking forward to. This new game doesn't have that, but we still got together and experienced it. So the demo level kind of takes you through the first world and the first boss, which is nuts. I had eyes of excitement of this huge I won't really spoil it because it's a demo, but a huge gorilla that climbs the building, and you have to pull his teeth, which in VR is kind of a fun, cartoony romp on this building. And they had a great time, both of them. So it was interesting to see that. And just, they got to experience this little world of the little robot rescue Astrobot kind of thing. So it was a cool experience. It was something
it seems tailor-made for kids. Did they pressure you into purchasing the full game after you completed the demo?
Yeah, for sure. And after you complete the demo, there's like 3 screens saying, hey, you can get more. And it lists everything. And it's like, buy. And of course, my older one can read perfectly. He's like, what's the problem? Like, why don't you just buy? We can get all this stuff.
You look over, he's holding your credit card. Like,
where did you get this? It's more like he already knows my password and my PIN. It's already done, Dad. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, even better. No. It'd be good for, now if you want to play it, that's the leverage for your wife, where it's like, darling, listen.
That's right.
The kids, much like they wanted the Switch.
Yeah.
See, now they want Astrobot.
You really want this, and it brings us together as a family. So you can't say no to that, right?
No, but, A dad and his kids' experience in VR makes for a perfect segue into this week's Gaming Dad Victory of the Week. Each week, we feature an exceptional gaming dad and often their kids who are doing fatherhood and gaming so well. This week's victory comes from gaming dad Heath Vance. As a father, it's important that you teach your kids the reality of life, but there's nothing saying that reality can't be a virtual one from time to time. So, Jeff, why don't you walk us through the photo?
So his son is emitting the same reaction my kids just did with VR, and it's just the look of awe and surprise on his face with the VR headset on. And it looks like he's having a good time. I'm not sure what game it is. I think it's the Shark Tank game. So that's something to experience in VR. And it looks like he's having a great time. And again, that's something that my kids have admitted as well.
Yeah, like awe, surprise, joy. Like if there could be an advertisement for the VR headset, like this photo could absolutely be it. Like he's managed to capture such the perfect moment of just blowing the little one's mind. And he actually goes on to describe it really well, so I'll quote his words. We have a great time gaming together, and it's an absolute joy to be able to bond with your children, especially when it's something you both enjoy. I have quite the retro collection, and from time to time they like playing those as well. But never have I seen a reaction quite like I did when he tried the PSVR for the first time. So
I'm totally on board with that. That is a perfect example of what I've done with my kids, where retro games they're cool with, they're awesome. You put the VR headset on. Wow, this is blowing my mind.
It is the absolute spectrum of gaming. You have 8-bit, the tiniest little sprites, super difficult 3 lives, press start, all the way into being thrown into a world with mini robots, with sharks, like virtually being anywhere you want to be, covering an absolute gamut of gaming. And man, capturing that absolute enthusiasm, that overjoy of it, like certainly deserving of the Gaming Dad Victory of the Week.
Congrats.
If you have a story that you'd like feature for Gaming Dad Victory of the Week, send it along to us on our Facebook group or from our website, newdadgaming.com.
And new dads, listen up as we go over this week's highlights of what happened in the world of gaming. With Halloween coming up, what better way to celebrate than with Fortnitemares? Yes, that's right. Fortnite has been teasing a Halloween-themed event within the game. As with most events that occur, details are pretty thin, but it looks like there will be at least some ghoulish skins available. In the end, it's another reason why Fortnite is trying to maintain its staying power within the community, constantly changing and evolving to keep things fresh. And did you happen to purchase Shadow of the Tomb Raider last month? Well, the game is now on sale at 50% off, and early adopters of the title are not happy at all about it. The Steam version of Tomb Raider is currently being review bombed, with what used to be a positive rating now turning to a mixed one, with negative reviews quadrupling the positive ones. Users are angry that they invested in the game at launch, and with the quick sale is a sign of Square Enix that they will not fix any major glitches with the game, just trying to cash in and move on. Well, luckily Steam has implemented a histogram of customer reviews, so you can pinpoint any major events such as these that could affect a game's reviews. This is coming after the Firewatch incident, where if you remember, the game was review bombed after the author commented on PewDiePie's racial slur in the game. People certainly have the right to feel angry with the price drops so soon after release, but I've learned from it and maybe plan for next time. And speaking of Steam, there was a scathing report from Polygon on what the developers have to deal with when they are trying to sell on the platform. Review bombing was definitely part of the frustration, where Steam will turn a blind eye to all of this in favor of the developer, regulating its own review stream and owning the consequences. There is also the fact that Steam will take 30% of the profits and will automatically discount games internationally, with according to their market research, can range from 30 to as high as 60% off the original purchase price, putting developers in rough waters if they expect to reach profit levels. Because of this, it looks as though Steam is pushing smaller studios to other venues, such as itch.io, where they have a much better shot of earning their fair share, as well as standing out amongst the AAA gaming releases. We'll see if Steam will evolve and listen to this growing issue, but there's no doubt it's here to stay for some time further. And there's at least one company that's hitting pause on VR development for the time being. eValkyrie and Sparks developer CCP Games has gone on the record to say say that they had grossly underestimated what the VR market was going to be. They expected it to be about 2 to 3 times bigger, and with what was out there at the time, there just wasn't enough of that VR pie to make business. The CEO has stated he has high hopes for the VR in the future and that there's no regrets about investing in the technology at the beginning. We here at NDG hope to see CCP games jump back into VR as the market continues to mature. In terms of gaming releases, some highlights this week include Red Dead Redemption 2. That's all you really need to know. There might be other games, but pretty much everything of note is going to be released before or after Red Dead Redemption 2. That's it for the gaming news this week. Catch a nap and tune in next week for another update.
Frankly, I'm surprised to see you here. I thought you'd just be staring at a clock until Red Dead comes.
I know, right?
What's the mood in your house right now with Red Dead being so close? Like, are you beside yourself? Are you kind of like lamenting because of weird delays that they've had?
It's an odd space where they haven't really put out much on this game. Like, we've seen a couple trailers. So at the announcement, I was really, really pumped for it. And now it's just like an okay, great. It's coming out. Because there's it has its own hype, right? Like, you don't even have to talk about it knowing that there will be quality there and everything. I'm sure will work fine. But if Amazon can deliver my order on time on launch day, that's another story. So we're looking at a week after that. So we'll see. We'll see. I might be here. I might not be. I might be in the Wild West.
Yeah, the show is just going to be me alone for the next 2 or 3 weeks. As you're way down into the West world.
Yeah, you'll be in space and I'll be in the Wild West. We're all good.
Exact polar opposites, and yet somehow so very much the same. Now, if they came back, let's say 2 months after release, Red Dead came and it was a 40% off sale, how upset would you be?
I would be pretty upset. I would be. There's no question about that. That would be something that was like, look, I'm giving you purchase price here to support the game, and then you go and do that 30
I can
days
understand.
later.
I mean, especially on a dad budget, I can really appreciate being upset, especially if it's so close. So the Tomb Raider, outcries warranted in some ways. Have you ever been caught up in that? Have you ever purchased something to see it plummet?
Not really. If I wanted to purchase something right at launch, like Uncharted 4, let's say, I have no doubt that it dropped a couple months after, and I wasn't too concerned about that because I did want to support them at the start. I think that they do great work, and that should reflect my sale of it. I think what happened with Tomb Raider is that they're trying to sneak in sales before Red Dead Redemption 2. I just think everything is planned around this game where it's going to be a massive thing, and they're just trying to get as many people as they can before they start thinking about their wallets. So,
curious to see what happens with it. I mean, I'd read a story. It's not a new story, but it just got reiterated, just in that GTA 5 is the biggest media property ever in the history of humanity. So beyond movies, beyond music, beyond anything that's ever been released, it's the biggest media property ever. And now, here comes Red Dead. What is?
I don't know. I don't know the appeal. Because one's very, Grand Theft Auto is very. It's modern day. It's city based, where this is specifically Wild West, which really only applies to a certain amount of people. But maybe Rockstar has that, weight behind their games, because Grand Theft Auto 5 is still in the top 10 best selling every month. And I don't know who's purchasing it. I have no idea how there's more market for it, but there is, and that's 5 years after launch. So let's see if that happens with Red Dead. They've spent a good 6-7 years on it, so maybe that'll reflect in the game and see what happens. I'm down for it. I'm ready. You're getting me more excited as this conversation goes on.
Good.
So.
Good. If nothing else, I could be your hype man for games you've already purchased.
Perfect.
That's a real dad assist right there, where you look at each other's backlog.
Yeah.
And you coach them through. You're it's you can do it. That's a great game. Wait till you get to it.
And push it. You're all right. It's like encouragement to your kids, right? You're like, no, you can do better. Just keep trying. You're good.
Yeah. Have you ever left a review for a game online somewhere?
I have never left a review. I've never.
I don't know if it's a thing of our age group. I'd be curious to know the numbers. If people, above 30 with kids go onto sites and because it just wasn't really something we grew up with, right? You just kind of, you bought a game. You jumped maybe in. Watched reviews on the run.
Yes.
Victor Lucas back in the day. He gave you
throwback.
Right? He gave you the rundown. What was the other one? There's reviews on the run, and he had two shows that always kind of went. I can't remember the other.
Yeah, Electric Playground was the...
That's the one.
Yeah.
So Electric Playground, reviews on a run. You took it in. Maybe you had a Nintendo Power magazine.
Yep.
But there was your reviews. There was no... It was one way, right? I received reviews. And a lot of times, not even then, I just kind of bought a game because a buddy liked it. Yeah. And now, so coming up, I just never thought that, my opinion matters on this particular game. The only time I was tempted, I think, was with No Man's Sky. And I didn't do it, but just, I was almost tempted to defend it because I felt its criticisms were too harsh, and as people not being fair to it, and I didn't want people who might enjoy it to not do it. Yeah. I didn't do anything because I would not adding my voice to that angry mob. But
well, and there's something to be said for I could find myself go online and post a bad review easier than a good review. If I'm complaining, I'm going to complain online because I know that people will see it now. Whereas if I really like the game and I go online and write a good review, I would actually weight those good reviews more because it actually took more effort for me to go online and say, hey, this is a great game and you should purchase it versus just going online and complaining.
Yeah, reviews are funny that way, where it's yep, it was good. I enjoyed this.
Yeah,
you're not gonna go. You have no motivation. Anger is motivating. It's this game sucks. For sure. You want to go onto everything and burn it down.
And you can point out all the flaws too. Whereas if it's good, you're the mechanics work. There's a story I can't tell you about because I don't want to spoil it. But there's something that happens that's great, and go for it. So
yeah, because even games that I adored Moss, it's. If any, the only thing I've probably is where I've maybe commented on a thread where somebody said, "Should I buy this?"
Yeah.
To which you pitch in from my perspective, yes, this is so amazing. It's shows such a different side of VR that maybe I hadn't tried. Yes. But that'd be about it. So anyways, no review bombs from gaming dads, I imagine.
No, not anytime soon. No one has time for that.
I guess never like to end on a down note, but hearing that the developer of Eve, Valkyrie, and Spark is underwhelmed with performance in VR is saddening. Because when we could go back to the history when you and I were first raving about Eve Valkyrie as being in many ways that was the game that hooked me to sit. I remember
that was my game that hooked me. That was it.
I am buying VR is what I had said after getting it.
Yep.
And to hear and Spark 2, which unfortunately that's one of those kind of backlog ones that I have and haven't spent time with, but I bought it, I have it. The quality of it and the reviews of it online, amazing. So this studio is cranking out quality hits, and then to hear, they're not quite in the space where they want to be, not making the numbers necessarily.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping too, both those games are very early, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you wonder after this Christmas, if they'd released both those titles then, so call this a December game or a February, March type of thing with all the new Christmas VR sets.
It's really a problem of marketing because, you show it on screen and you're it's another space flight sim.
And the graphics don't look as good.
and no, exactly. It's kind of dialed down a bit. But then, honest to God, it was one of those VR test centers that was in the shopping mall that I got to test it at. And being in the ship and seeing everything modeled realistically, there was no downgrade in resolution that I saw. It was a well modeled game, and you felt it. You felt like you were launching into space, zipping along, and these huge battle cruisers were flying over you. It was a cool experience, and they can only build on that if so many people again invest in it going forward. So they just need to put people's eyes in this machine and just view it.
Yeah, but so they haven't. They're positive about it. They haven't written it off in future. So hopefully we'll bring them back in the fold at some point. But
I hope so.
Man, that makes me want to go and jump in my spaceship. That was such a good experience.
I'll meet you there with my 6-shooter in the wild.
There we go. Yeah. But that's a wonderful note to end on. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you'd like to reach out to us with a question, a game tip, a dad story, or a Gaming Dad Victory submission, you can do so at our website, newdadgaming.com. You can find us on Twitter or join up on the Facebook group. If you'd like to subscribe to the podcast, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and any of the other podcasting services. If you like the show, we would really appreciate a like, a review, or a share as we're trying to reach as many gaming dads as we can. Until next time, my name is Trevor, and I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And a Red Dead coming any moment.
Countdown is on. See ya, high noon.
Meanwhile, I'm back to No Man's Sky. Again.
Yep.
Going to space. Again. See you next week.
See you later.